Hello, I'm DEMIS HELLEN, and I've been working with the guys at Born to Produce to provide this Uplifting Trance template for you. And these two videos are just showcasing what the template is about and what to expect in there. You get all the presets and all of the samples that come with that as well, so you can reverse engineer, you can deep dive into the template, you can see how things have been processed, and you'll notice that there's a lot less going on than what you might think. So this template is definitely a must for those that are interested in uplifting trance. So here we are in the project. This is what you see when you first open this project. I'm going to play a few sections for you, and I'll play it in full at the end, so don't worry too much about that. I'm going to play sort of like the intro, where the intro leads are, the main drop over here, sorry, and the break over here. So let's just quickly have a listen to this, and then I'll guide you through the project, and then we'll have a look at just how we've got this bass working. So a little inside tip for you on how this is running. So let's jump to here and let's just have a quick listen. So there we have it, that is what we're working with. This is available now on borntoproduce.com. You can get a copy over there. So let's have a quick guided tour. So you can see here that we've got all the main elements that you'd expect: kick and percussion, bass, leads, pads, atmoses, all that good stuff. These are all folded tracks, so all of the kick and percussion are encased in here, so it just makes it a little bit neater for you to navigate, but it also makes it a lot easier for you to take a look and peek inside the track. So if you just want to look at the bass, for example, you can just open this up and see what's happening, click on the tracks and see what processing's been done on there. So I just want to guide you through what is happening regarding processing. So if we take a look at the mixer, you can see here that we've got all of the tracks. Then I've got all the bus tracks at the end of my chain, so they don't move off screen. So you can always see the summed up track and then through to the master out. If we just take a quick look at the arranger, slightly different. The bus channels are in their respective folders, so they're easy to find on the arranger and easy to find on the mixer. So if you take a look at what's happening, I am predominantly using Cubase plugins. There are a few third parties in here, so it's just going to require a download, but these are free to download. So you can see what you can do with the free palette of plugins that are available. Most of the editing is done using the Cubase editor. So if we just jump into one here, you can see I'm using the built-in EQ, and then I'm using the effects chain here. And you can see I'm doing very minimal editing across the board. The most you're going to see there is 3 plugins on one channel. And then all of these ones here, you can see there's a little bit more going on, but that's all explained in these videos, or should we say we're going to take a look at some of it. So let's take a look at how we can deep dive into the track. So I'm going to open up the bass tab. I'm going to click on this sub tab here. So sub bass 4. Now these are all from my preset packs for Vital. It's various different presets from various different packs that I've made. They are available on borntoproduce.com, so you can get a copy of these if you want to expand your preset collection, but all of these presets come included with this template, so you no need to buy any extra packs for this specifically. So sub bass 4 is used here, and that sounds like this. I'd advise that you wear headphones or at least be on the monitors in a studio to hear this. And it's using my existing presets and the macros that are available down the side to help shape the sound. That's what I've used there and made a few tweaks to that. Now, if we look at the processing on this, you can see that we are using a little bit of a dip, little bit of second and third harmonic processing there to bring out some of the niceties of the bass so you can hear it on smaller speakers, and it just helps convey the power of that bass across, because it's not all just about the original fundamental, it's about the individual harmonics of the sound as well. A little bit of tal filter on there. All that's happening here is this is being blocked out so the kick can operate nice and clearly, and then opens back up full volume for the offbeat bass to work, because this is an offbeat sub. So you can see that's all we've done. If you just go back in there, tal filter 2, little bit of EQ, that's all I've done on that one. That gets summed up into the bass bus, and you can see there is nothing happening. So if we jump into the mixer, on the bass bus, I've done no processing apart from this little low cut that's happening here, and this only appears if we just go into the track here. You can see that's now switched off. So if we jump into here, you can see it's grayed out. Now, turning this off, just a little tip for you, this stops any phase shifting of your bass, because low cuts by default will change the phase relationship between the kick and your sub, because you're shifting the frequencies around. So it's better to do a low shelf EQ just to keep control over things and not do those sort of like low cuts. Now, if we look in the bass bus, you can see it's there, but when we need that chopped off, you can see it turns on and goes to wherever it needs to cut to make that section light up a little bit when there's no kick. So you can see I'm turning them off where there's no kick drum happening, and where the build is happening, we want that bass to be sort of filtered off, and then when it kicks back in and the drop, it turns off. So it's just a little trick there for you to stop any phase shifting in your bass. And then just a quick run through on the mid basses. So if we listen to this first one, so these are technically a low and high mid bass, but they're not labeled that, so you can see exactly which presets I'm using. Again, presets from my uplifting collection there. So that's 120 presets, but you're getting these ones for free as part of this. Shall I say, the presets that are used in this tutorial are free. So if you take a look at what's happening there, the majority of the processing is coming out of here. So we've got some reverb on there. Oh, don't turn that off. Reverb and delay. So that's giving us all of that and a bit of processing. And then on top of that, what is happening in here is we've got this happening. So this is our EQ. You can deep dive and see what I've been doing there, bringing out certain frequencies, making it shine and give it place in the mix. And then for processing, we're using tal filter. We're using my soft sidechain on tal filter 2, and that is just sidechain that you can see the depth is set to about the 10 o'clock position. So it's not fully giving that pump effect. It's giving a mild pumping effect. So we still want some of that groove to come through. We want to hear those extra notes. We don't just want to cut them all off like a sub bass. And then after that, we've got a ping pong delay. So this just helps add a little bit of fluidity back into the track. So after that tal filter is operating, it's obviously got all of its processing before that. So that's including the delay and the reverbs. That means there is everything's being ducked out. So if we turn that off just for a second, back on. It just helps it flow back into the tracks. I don't necessarily want to EQ, sidechain or volume shape, should we say, that's what we're doing here, out the delay that much. So just add a little bit on after, and that just gives you that illusion that it's still flowing through a lot more than what it is. All right, and then we have got the upper mid bass. Uplifting lead number 16, so you can see I'm using a lead for this one. Tweaked it with our microcontrols down here, and then that is going through the EQ. And you can see I've done a very similar thing here. I've rolled it off a little bit higher, a little bit of a boost there, just to keep some of that warmth. But we are focusing a little bit more. I would say that it's not really a high and mid, because if you listen to this one, that's got more high content. This one, so it's not got as much high. So I would say this is more of like the mids, giving it a little bit of power in that mid section there. And what's happening on here is Tal Filter 2 again, but less so. So instead of using the depth control, I've raised this up and balanced it with the depth. So there's two little bits that you can do there to control how much that is influencing that sound, and then ping pong delay after again to obviously make it sound a little bit more fluid. And all in all, that gives you a lovely little summed up bus. And that little roll off only comes in when needed for certain parts of the track, so it keeps everything nice, neat and tidy. So that's a little bit of an in-depth dive into how to look through this project and understand what's going on. You can see my method of working. It's always that EQ that's built into Cubase, and then through to whatever third-party effects that I'm going to be using to process that signal. But you can see very minimal editing to get that sort of quality that you need to get started as a producer. So this is available at borntoproduce.com, link in the description, and you're supporting the guys at Born to Produce and myself for creating this for them. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, ask away in the comments. We'll be happy to answer anything you need to know.